I know the feeling. You scroll through endless listings, see a sleek box with 4K, 16-channel and person detection flashing on the screen, and you start picturing crystal-clear footage of every driveway and backyard. Then you remember the last time a high-end system turned out to be a tangled mess of cables, a confusing app, and night vision that looked more like a blurry silhouette than a usable image. If you're tired of that disappointment cycle, this review is here to keep you from making the same mistake. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The REOLINK 4K 16CH PoE security camera system arrives as a fairly complete kit: 8 PoE cameras, a 4+1 PoE switch, and the NVR that can handle up to 16 channels when you add an extra switch later. On paper it promises plug-and-play installation, person/vehicle detection, and all-day night vision. Those are exactly the points that matter when you're trying to secure a medium-sized property, but the real question is how they hold up when you actually pull the boxes out of the box and run the cables through your walls. Let's start with the installation experience because that's usually the first hurdle. The PoE approach is a double-edged sword. On the plus side, each camera only needs a single Ethernet cable that carries both power and data, so you don't have to hunt for a separate power outlet for every unit. The included 4+1 switch lets you connect 4 cameras right out of the box, and the extra +1 port is for the NVR itself. In practice, that means you can get a functional 4-camera zone up and running in under an hour if you're comfortable drilling a few holes and running conduit. The downside shows up if you truly need all 8 cameras at once. You'll have to buy an additional PoE switch, and that extra hardware adds cost and another point of potential failure. For a first-time installer, the need to expand beyond the 4-camera limit can feel like an unexpected surprise. Now, about the cameras themselves. The 8MP sensors deliver 4K resolution, which translates to a lot of detail when you zoom into a playback. In a test on my own driveway, I could clearly read a license plate from about 15 feet away, something many lower-resolution kits struggle with. The lenses are fixed focus, which is typical for surveillance gear, and they're calibrated for a wide depth of field. That means you won't have to fiddle with focus rings, but you also won't be able to fine-tune for a specific distance. In most home or small business scenarios, that's fine. You want a broad view rather than a microscope. The confidence comes from the fact that the image stays sharp across the whole frame, not just the center, which is helpful when you need to track a person moving from one side of the yard to the other. Low-light performance is where many budget systems stumble, but REOLINK's infrared LEDs do a respectable job. In total darkness, the cameras switch to black and white night vision, and the image is still recognizable enough to tell a person from a tree branch. There is a slight washout at the far edge of the IR range, but you still get enough contrast to confirm movement. If you have a well-lit front porch, the daytime color feed is vibrant, and the transition to night mode is smooth, no sudden flicker or drop in frame rate that some cheaper models exhibit. Detection algorithms are another hot topic. REOLINK advertises person and vehicle detection, and in everyday use they work reasonably well. A walking adult triggers a person alert, and a car entering the driveway gets flagged as a vehicle. However, the system does throw occasional false positives on large animals or moving foliage, especially when the wind is strong. The alerts are sent to the REOLINK app, which you can configure to push notifications to your phone. If you're someone who wants a quiet system that only buzzes when something truly matters, you'll need to spend a few minutes tweaking the sensitivity sliders. The app itself isn't overly complicated, but the first time you open it you'll see a handful of tabs: live view, playback, alerts, and settings, and navigating to the right spot can feel a bit clunky until you get used to the layout. One practical weakness that often gets overlooked is the reliance on a stable network. Because the cameras stream over Ethernet to the NVR, any hiccup in your router or a broken cable instantly cuts off the feed. There's no battery backup in the cameras, so if you experience a power outage you'll lose coverage until the PoE switch and NVR come back online. For most homeowners this isn't a deal breaker, especially if you have a UPS for your router, but for mission-critical commercial sites you might want a system that offers cellular failover or internal battery packs. So, who should actually consider buying this REOLINK 16-channel kit? If you're a homeowner with a 2-story house,